It is 50 past the hour. Joining us now, Democratic Congressman Tim Ryan of Ohio. Good to have you on board this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Congressman, good to see you. Let's start with a couple quick questions. One, the health care bill that the Republicans are launching in the Senate. What do you think of it?
What you would think. I mean, I think it's pretty much the same thing, cutting Medicaid. I mean, the big thing for us is pre-existing conditions, and hundreds of thousands of people in places like Ohio, people that are working,
right,
that benefited from the expansion will now see reduced coverage or maybe completely lost coverage. If you have asthma, you're going to see about a $4,000 increase. You have diabetes, you're going to see about a $6,000 increase. If you're pregnant, $17,000. I mean, this is the kind of thing that's hitting the ground.
What's going on? I mean, with your Republican counterparts, I mean, those governors are not psyched about it. Kasich's against it. Mm-hmm. What is it that they feel is so vital in this bill that they must address it now? That
the Republicans in the House have to do this?
Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah, I think they're trying to fulfill a political promise,
right,
not necessarily an economic or solve a health care problem. They're trying to solve a political problem, and that's why you see these Republican governors who have expanded coverage say this is a bad deal for our people.
Wow.
Congressman, what do you think of the president's speech at the General Assembly yesterday here in New York City? Mixed reviews. Conservatives, Republicans liked it. He talked about America first, which was not an unfamiliar theme coming from him all the way back to the campaign.
Yeah.
But specifically the rhetoric on North Korea. Where do you think that put us in our back and forth with that country?
Well, I think Barnacle, actually, I don't want to say I agree with Barnacle, but I think Barnacle made a good point. These aren't American problems. These are global problems, and I don't think he's being the kind of quarterback that the American president needs to be, pulling people together, handling these in a multilateral way. I think what he said about Iran is true. I think we do have to have a firmer position on Iran. They are funding terrorism all throughout the Middle East, so I like that aspect of the speech. But overall, you got to do this together. There's nothing going to be able to achieve on your own.
Was the Iran deal a bad deal, as he said yesterday?
No, I don't think so. I thought it was it wasn't a great deal, but I think it was a solid deal and a deal that had to be done. In the United States, basically, and President Obama, placed a bet. There's a lot of young people in Iran. There's a generation of people. They're listening to Western music. They have Western technology. And we're making a bet that if we can get these younger people to be slightly more understanding, slightly more moderate, and the Iranian election proved that there are a lot of moderates in Iran. And I think we've got to try to engage them the best we can, even though the deal's not perfect.
Carson, I want to ask you about the Republicans and tax cuts. They seem to be moving your way in talking about not cutting the estate tax, not lowering the top rate for the wealthiest Americans. Are those changes encouraging to you? Do you think you see a world where you could work with the White House on tax cuts focused on the middle class and working class?
I think if they stay away from the traditional supply side economics, I think there will be a lot of Democrats that will sit down and say, hey, is this going to benefit working class people in Akron, Ohio, Youngstown, Ohio? I think they'll be willing partners. But again, we've got to make sure that some of these things, like any corporate tax reform, for example, that is revenue positive. You have 100 of the top 500 Fortune 500 companies not paying any corporate tax at all. So that's not a progressive tax. I think if you want to lower the rate, you got to make sure you're closing the loopholes and you're getting some money. So, and the president's saying we're not going to hurt the middle class on this. So we'll see.
Carol.
Congressman, you have health care, tax reform, DACA. What do you think that the Congress can actually get done? And how do you feel about Democrats cutting deals with this president?
Well, we got sent there to get something done. I don't think you need to violate your values in the process, but I think we should try to be willing partners. We've got to get the political process moving forward here, and no one's going to get what they want 100% of the time. So I think it's encouraging that people are at least having conversations. These are huge issues. I mean, the challenges that the country faces now are tremendous. Economic inequality, diabetes, 3 billion more people are going to move into the middle class in the next couple of decades around the world. We've got to figure out how we're going to solve some of these problems, and we can't do it everybody going on their own. Same with the speech at the UN. You can't do this stuff alone. These problems are too big, so we have to come together, and I'm encouraged by it.
All right, Congressman Tim Ryan, good to see you. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.